Login accepted.
Hi everyone, this is Freddie, and in today's video I'm going to talk about a real-world scenario where we connected a new printer, and due to port security, the port shut down and we had to figure out what was going on. So if you're ready, let's get to it. Alright, so I set up a simple little network here in Packet Tracer so that I could explain to you in better detail what was going on and you can kind of understand it. So right here we have the old printer, which we're going to call it BART old, and it's got this IP address of 10.240. And here we have the BART new, the new printer that's going in, and it'll have the same IP address that the old one had. So let's use our imaginations and just imagine we have a whole bunch of PCs connected up to this switch, and there's multiple VLANs, and these guys are on the same VLAN. So they're actually on VLAN 10. Alright, so now just to make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to, I'm going to go ahead and open up this PC and click on the command prompt and make sure I can go ahead and ping the current old printer that's on the network. So there you go, we're getting a reply. So we know that's working. So the network's working as it should. Next up, we go to our printer, we disconnect the network cable from that printer, and we plug it into our new guy, into its Ethernet port. We already have the printer configured with the IP address, so let's pull up the command prompt and let's see if we can ping it. We already know that there's port security set up on this port, so what should have happened is this port should have shut down. It should have turned red and it should have shut down. But the reason why that's not happening right now is because we had just pinged and sent traffic to this printer. So whenever you first ping something or you're trying to communicate on the network, an ARP request goes across. And that's how it finds out what the MAC address is for the devices on the network. And then the switch will store those MAC addresses in its MAC address table for a certain amount of time. By default, this 2960 switch should be around 5 minutes. So now that we tried to ping, it didn't shut down because the switch is like, well, we're trying to ping this IP address, the 10.240. And it's also sending across the MAC address from the previous ARP request. So the switch is like, oh yeah, I know who that is. And that device is connected onto switch port fast Ethernet 01. So I'm going to send that ping request out that port. As far as it's concerned, as far as the switch is concerned, the same device is still attached to it, which, because there was no ARP request going across the network. And if we go into the PC right here and we do an ARP-A, we can see that this MAC address, that's the MAC address of the old printer, not the MAC address of the new printer. So what we can do is we can force an ARP request instead of waiting. And in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to do ARP-D to delete the ARP table. So now if we pull up the ARP-A again, there's no entries. So now I'm going to go ahead and ping it again, and boom, look at that, port shut down. No communication allowed on that port. Why did that happen? Because the ARP request went across when we tried to ping and said, hey, who has this IP address? The printer responded, I do. The new printer, BART new, said, I have that IP address. And here's my MAC address. Then the switch said, whoa, wait a minute. According to my rules, there's only supposed to be one MAC address allowed on that switch port. And I have that switch port set with the MAC address of another device. You're not that device. Therefore, you're in violation, and my rules say I need to shut down this port. So what do we do now? Because we have this new printer here, we need this printer to communicate on the network. right? That's why we bought a new one, new upgraded, top of the line, newest and bestest. So what do we do? All right, so we're gonna go into switch number 1, the big daddy over here. We're gonna go into its CLI. And let's take a look at what's going on. So we know it's connected to Fast Ethernet 01. So we're gonna go enable, and we can do show port security interface F01. Let's take a look at what's going on with port security here. Oh, look at the port status. The port status right here is secure shutdown. Oh, what was that? Oh, someone has a question. They're asking me, how do we know that port security was even enabled in the first place? Oh, well, we could do that right here. If you do show port security, it lets you see that we've got a couple of ports here. Look, ports 1 through 6, where port security is turned on, and it's showing you can only have max of 1 address. Ports 1 and 2 are currently showing they have an address, and port 01 is showing you there's a violation. And it shows you that for the ports it shuts down. If port security was not enabled, there would be nothing here. It would just be blank. As soon as you type this in and you hit return, it would just go right back to the next command. So that's how you know that port security is enabled. So back up here, we see that it's shut down. We see that it's using sticky MAC addresses. Okay, so what do we do? Any ideas? Oh, we can try just turning the port back on. Okay, let's go ahead and try that. So in order to do that, we would go to Conf T for global configuration mode, and then we need to go into the interface. So we'll go into the interface F01. And you say just put in the command no shutdown. Okay, let's try that and see what happens. No shutdowns. Let's start it back up. No, it says it's still change the state to down. It's still down. What next? That's not a bad idea. Okay, I'm saying let's try shutting it down first. That way it administratively shuts down, which it did right here, administratively down. And then try the no shutdown command again. Well, look at that. It's still down. It's not going to allow us to go ahead and change that state back up to up until we deal with the violation that's occurring. So let's imagine in this situation, what actually happened was, let's say Bart Old, the old printer, it's gone. It was already moved, right? The delivery drivers, when they dropped off the new one, they took the old one. So, you know, you can say, okay, well, we don't know what the MAC address is of this old device. We got to get rid of that. Well, let me show you this command. Now I'm gonna just type in ends so that I can have a clean user interface here. So what we want to do is we want to show port address. When we type in that command, we get the secure MAC address table. And you can see right here, we're dealing with the Fast Ethernet port 01, secure sticky. This was the old MAC address of the old device. So we can actually select that here, copy it. Now we got to go into global configuration mode. So Conf T. We have to go into the interface of F01. And now from here, we have to type in no switch port, port security, MAC address, and let's paste in that MAC address that we had. So what are we doing here? What we're telling the switch is, for this MAC address, we don't want switch port security for this MAC address anymore. So let's get rid of it. So now when we hit enter, that MAC address is removed from the secure MAC address table. And we can confirm that by typing in, since we're in global configuration interface mode, we can type in do show port address. And if you look at the secure MAC address table, you'll see that the port for fast Ethernet 01 is now gone. So what's next? Well, the port is still down. We got to bring it back up. So what's the command for that? No shutdown. Oh, what happened? It's still telling us it's changed state to down. Why? Correct. We want to administratively shut it down first. And now we can do no shutdown. And look at that. It's back up. We've got green lights. So what do we need to do? Well, let's go ahead and let's go to accounting 1 to the PC. And let's go ahead and ping that IP address again, the 10.240. And we have a reply. Look at that. We got nice reply from the printer. So let's try it again. Let's ping it again. And we get 4 replies. So that means we're up and running. We're working. And if we go back to the switch to CLI, you can actually do the do show port address, and now we see the new MAC address of the new device that's attached to port 01. So that's exactly what I encountered in the real world. We got a new printer in. The old printer was removed. We plugged in the old printer into the network. We tried to ping to it, tried to print to it, and we could not. And then we saw that the port was shut down. So we were like, oh, port security is probably acting up. We had to find out that the MAC address was stored in the secure MAC address table. We had to run the command for no switch port security MAC address with the MAC address. Shut down the port administratively, start it back up, and everything was good in the world again. So that's just something I ran into. I thought I'd share it with everybody. If you ever run into it, now you know what you're going to have to do. And that's all there is to it. Until next time, this is Freddie, signing off.